Hey and welcome back to another video. This week you join me for my first stop in a brand new country. We're in Nicaragua. We arrived directly onto the beach as I took the boat from La Union in El Salvador. This week I'm taking you with me to León, a city in western Nicaragua. Learning about the history of the country from here was so inspiring. We had a crazy fun day speeding down the slopes of Volcán Cerro Negro, and we head into the local markets on our guided walking tour. So stick around if you want to learn a little bit about León, Nicaragua. If you're excited to join me on my travels, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what's to come. For my first full day in León, we're doing the infamous volcano boarding on the slopes of Cerro Negro. I booked the tour with Bigfoot Hostel and we all gathered in reception around midday for our briefing. The guys who worked there were very encouraging about us going down the slopes as fast as we can. For those who are competitive, this makes the day quite exciting as in the evening the hostel announces the top 3 fastest players. They showed us the video of the first person to go down the volcano and an example of what happens when you go too fast. There's definitely a risk factor here, but that's partly why people love it so much, is it not? Cerro Negro is one of the youngest volcanoes in Central America and one of the most active in Nicaragua. It erupts every 18 years. Unlike the classic cone-shaped volcanoes you might imagine, Cerro Negro is completely black, covered in loose volcanic rock and ash from its frequent eruptions. It first appeared in 1850, which makes it incredibly young. Because the volcanic gravel is so fine and steep, it's become one of the only places in the world where you can actually volcano board down the side of an active volcano. It sits along Nicaragua's volcanic chain, which is part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, creating some of the most volcanically active landscapes on Earth.
What about if you take the fastest position, which is leaning back, feet flat, and then if you think that you're going too fast, or you just dig your heels, and then you guys break a little bit. But it's boring, okay? Yeah, come on. You guys, you have to commit. Embrace the challenge. That's why you came here, right? Right? Okay. So, easy guys. Leaning back to go fast. Heels on the ground. Leaning forward to go slow.
Oh my god, covered in volcanic sand, but that was sick. Slid down there. Once we'd finished speeding down the slopes, it was time to hop back on the chicken bus. This is a pretty famous day tour, not just for the thrill of boarding, but also for the chicken bus party on the way back. This was a lot of fun, but it's definitely not for the faint-hearted.
Hey guys, nice to meet you. I'm here with Dan the man.
Introduce yourself.
Lass ein Abo da.
You guys are fucking shut up.
The staff go up and down the party bus, sharing drinks as we clung onto the roof railings, tightening our grip as we got all the more wobbly. It was such a fun end to quite a crazy day. After a spot of breakfast and a gorgeous coffee at Pan y Paz Bakery, I spent the afternoon doing a walking tour. We first headed into León's Central Market. A good time to go is 9 in the morning, so all the produce is still fresh. The guide explained to us how much fruit prices change depending on the season. In rainy season, you can get 5 avocados for $2. While we were in the market, the guide bought us a couple of fruits to try. I think the best had to be jocote, a little bite-sized stone fruit with waxy red skin and a juicy yellow center. It was really good with a sprinkle of salt. But we also tried níspero and zapote. The street murals in León say a lot about the city. And with a guide explaining the history behind the art, you learn so much about the backstory of Nicaragua. He talked about how important Central America has always been because it acts as a land bridge between North and South America, with crops, people and trade routes moving through the region for thousands of years. Maize or corn, for example, originally spread south from Mexico through Central America into places like Colombia and Venezuela. Nicaragua's history is also marked by political conflict, revolution and dictatorship. As we walked through town, the murals told the story of protests, civil war and the Sandinista movement that transformed the country during the 20th century. León itself became a major centre for student activism and resistance due to its large university population and strong left-wing political movements. A lot of the street art here still reflects themes of revolution, social justice and political memory. Going to the cathedral at sunset in León is one of the most popular activities in town, and for good reason. The view over the city from the roof is just fantastic. Looking over León from above put it into perspective how small the city actually is. Where the city ends, the trees start. That, with volcanoes on its skyline, León was becoming a city that I loved spending time in. On a less cloudy day, you can clearly see the San Cristobal volcano in the north, which is the biggest in Nicaragua. The volcano we could see the top of is Santa Clara. That volcano produces around 15% of Nicaragua's energy through geothermal technology. After sunset, we stopped at one final set of murals besides the basketball courts. These ones carried some of the strongest stories yet. As we walked through the streets, our guide pointed out the memorial stones marking the place where 4 protesting students were killed during demonstrations against the government. The murals here didn't just feel artistic, they felt political, almost like an open-air history lesson painted onto the walls of the city. At the end of the tour, I asked the guide some recommendations for restaurants and foods to try. I'll leave them in the description down below so you can check them out. My final day in León was spent similarly, wandering around the city. I went to a couple of museums after being inspired by yesterday's walking tour. If you're in León, I would recommend the Museum of Traditions and Legends, the Rubén Darío Museum and the Revolution Museum. But just a heads up, be prepared to rely on your Spanish or heavily on Google Translate. And that brings us to the end of our time in León. I hope you enjoyed this little recap of my time there and maybe you learned something new about Nicaragua. Let me know in the comments if you did. So all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like if you got this far and a comment so I know you did. And I will see you next Sunday for another video. Bye!